Welcome back to the channel, you kooks. Do you have a van or RV that sways and wobbles as you're driving on or off road or even out of the parking lot?
Well, thank Buddha. There's now an easy fix that doesn't require a total suspension overhaul. In today's video, we're going to show you how SumoSprings has vastly improved the quality of our van's ride both on and off road.
So you might be asking yourself, what are SumoSprings? SumoSprings are a suspension product designed to enhance the load carrying ability, stabilize sway, and improve overall driver comfort and ride comfort. They're maintenance-free, don't leak air, and thus don't require airlines or compressors. SumoSprings will provide better ride comfort by absorbing harsh jumps, jolts, providing a smoother ride over uneven surfaces and highway joints and other off-road terrain. It'll also provide better driver control by reducing harsh movements. SumoSprings give you better control of your rig. This increases safety and makes travel more comfortable. It'll also provide more stabilization. SumoSprings have a progressive spring rate. They compress smoothly and with less resistance to provide greater resistance the more they compress. They also provide an easy solution. SumoSprings increase comfort and control. They will help stabilize sway and level loads. This makes SumoSprings a unique and complete solution. SumoSprings benefit a large variety of rigs, including trucks, SUVs, vans, motorhomes, and other off-road vehicles. The SumoSprings come in different types and colors. The different colors have different densities for different weights. Check the SuperSprings website to see what color is best for your application. In our application, we are going to use black, which is the most versatile, and it covers light, medium, and heavy-duty loads.
Before we got the SumoSprings, we thought there was literally something wrong with our van's suspension. We were looking into new shocks and suspension overhaul because we had so much sway, and you could just always hear the bump stops, the stock ones, like hitting down on the axles, and it was making quite a bit of noise. And we thought we were bottoming our shocks out, but in reality, we just had too heavy of a van. So our van is just at about max capacity, and we really needed to do something because our ride quality was very poor. We couldn't keep up with any of our friends on dirt roads because we just couldn't get any speed without the van shaking. We'd have drawers and doors popping open and stuff just falling on the floor. We would just basically create a yard sale anytime we hit a unimproved road or an off-road. So before we had some definite problems, but we're going to get into the installation and show you like how much better the ride quality has been since we switched to these springs. So now we're going to move on to the installation of the SumoSprings. On the SumoSprings website, it says they can be installed in an hour by a competent, mechanically sound individual. And while that's definitely true, they need to add in there that you need like legitimate jacks and jack stands. And we tried here at the campsite with this funny little pathetic stock Sprinter jack that it comes with in the emergency kit. And as you can imagine, we just didn't feel safe jacking the car up under this thing and being underneath it and putting in the springs. The rear springs were actually pretty quick and easy to install once we got a decent jack and some blocks and jack stands under the car. We just jacked it up, got underneath, we got in there with the screwdriver and we pulled the old existing ones out, and then from there we put in the new ones. And I'll note that we really got in there with the crowbar and like opened up the old space because the new SumoSprings did not quite fit that well, and we kind of had to pry some space. And once we got in there, it's a really tight fit getting it under there in the back. You got to get some decent leverage. It took us a bit wrestling it, and once we kind of squeezed it in there, it went well. And once we got one, the second one was so fast. It took us maybe 10 minutes to do the second one. But we moved to the front and we had a stripped out bolt there in the front, so we were having no luck getting into it. You only got to change one bolt, and our bolt was completely stripped. So we had to take the van to our good friends, Wayne's Automotive. I highly recommend them if you're traveling through New Mexico. They're a great help, they're honest, and they're really fast. And he had all the tools. We got in there, Dave, the owner, we jacked it up and we installed that front Sumo spring in a matter of minutes. I'd say with the proper tools, with a nice jack and nice jack stands, you can get the front springs on in about 10 minutes each. It took us longer on the front because we had to take the wheel off because, like I said, that bolt was so stripped, we had to get in there with like a specialty socket to get it out. The other side was not stripped, and that literally took us about 10 minutes. We just jacked it up, pulled the old one out, and put in the new one. So with all that being said, the installation could be about 45 minutes to an hour. If you watch this video, it should be about 45 minutes. But with the jack and the jack stand, it's gonna make your life so easy because like having this and having this 8,000 pound car just on this one jack, like it wasn't very comfortable for us to be under there. So if you don't wanna do it, a mechanic can do this job in easily under an hour. So it shouldn't be too expensive to have them professionally installed. So now that the springs are on, we are gonna go see how well they perform, and we're gonna go hit the streets and some off-roads. We are leaving the auto shop, and we've already noticed a pretty major difference with the SumoSprings. We just took a right-hand turn there, and I haven't noted that our vehicle is just about at capacity, and we really needed these springs. We've come to find out in the last 5 minutes. But yeah, it's much more of a sturdy ride. You definitely notice it, especially if you have an overweight van. We're just driving in the city, and we're gonna go out to the mountains and give it a little test run, a proper Van Kookz review. So we're headed out and we're going to put it on some dirt roads because in van life you're really going to be driving on a lot more dirt roads to get to those good spots. So we're going to see how well the SumoSprings respond to the off-road, because that's kind of why we got them. We really needed them while we off-roaded. But yeah, they've made an impact on our city driving, and we're coming into a right-hand turn, and normally the van would probably wobble a bit in the turn and out of it, but I didn't notice much there. And if the boss is happy.
Yeah, I'm the driver. I like it. I feel like you can feel your weight more because the van is like sitting on the frame now, so you could definitely feel your weight. So I don't speed any more than I never did.
Also, we're about to hop on the highway, and SumoSprings, they say they give you more stability while driving on the highway. It's not a very windy day, but
I could totally see how that works.
Usually you get a little sway in these Sprinter vans in the wind. So we're getting up higher speeds, and we'll let you know if it makes a difference. We've been driving on the freeway at about the Sprinter's max speed of 65, 70. And we've noticed that the SumoSprings, they give it less room to kind of bump, like the suspension to compress, because once you're hitting all these bumps, the van does like sway. So it seems like those SumoSprings, they close that gap, so there's less kind of...
Like they stop the sway before it happens.
Yeah, the sway doesn't get to happen because there's just really no room for it to move. It's got that squishy spring in there now, so it's definitely made a difference. And now it's time to put it to the real test and take it to the dirt. So we're gonna go right now and hit the dirt. Okay guys, we are now on a dirt road. It said primitive road. It's a bit pretty rutted out, but you might see that the van's wobbling a decent amount, but it's actually like night and day compared to what we're normally doing on these roads. We're usually like swaying to the point where we have to stop the van. And
yeah, this is like amazing. I can drive more than like 7 miles an hour. I'm going like 20 right now. On this bumpy of a road, we wouldn't be able to do this. We'd seriously have to come back to center and then continue. And now we can just drive. We don't have to be so far behind all the other Kookz.
yeah, so the SumoSprings are a pretty small upgrade. They're just a few, couple $100, and you don't have to put shocks or anything in, and it's making a major difference. I know if you have an overweight van, you know how it goes. You're just like swaying and bouncing and driving so slow on these roads. So I'm gonna get out and show you the van kind of cruise up the road here. Normally on roads with a lot of rocks like this, the van, it kind of like the bumpers hit every time and it sways a lot. And now we're gonna do the after test. How does it feel?
It's awesome. It's like I don't know, it's like it's in a 4-wheel drive or something. There's no bouncing. I don't even know how to explain it, but if you know the sway of a van that's like really heavy, and then you feel this, it's like night and day. It's really like stabilizing, and you just, I actually have like PTSD going over these bumps of us being like, oh, hold all of the like the cabinets closed and stuff. So like it's cool.
If you couldn't tell by our excitement when we just tested the van, if the SumoSprings are worth the small investment to improve your ride quality, I think you know that we're pretty sold on this. And I couldn't recommend these more for you if you got a big heavy van, or even if you just have a DIY camper van you built yourself and you notice a lot of shake, wobble, and roll. So if you're looking to smooth out your ride, I'd say we think it's totally worth it. And
yeah, it's so, you have to do so little for such reward, and the only regret that I have is that we haven't done it sooner. Like, the ride is so much more smooth, and we're not afraid to go over those like corduroys in the off-road. It's amazing. It's less traumatizing, like we said earlier.
yeah, with that being said, guys, thanks for watching, and like and subscribe. And if you have had a positive experience with SumoSprings, leave it in the comment. We also have a Van Kookz discount code for y'all in the description, so check that out if you're interested. It's going to save you some extra bucks here on the holiday season, and it's a great gift for anyone you know in van life, so couldn't recommend it more.
And also, if you have any tricks, that was something that we had some trouble finding putting this in. If you have any installation tricks that go further than the tricks that we've offered, please put them in the comments. It helps the headache.
Yeah, guys, and always thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Today's episode is brought to you by Where Are You From? A book of poems and illustrations that are out of this world but close to home. This poetry book is 179 pages of insightful and beautifully illustrated poetry, covering one Earthling's mission to find true meaning of home. Written by Neil the Earthling and illustrated by Lynn the Alien, this book was created by 2 talented van lifers and was created entirely on the road. Where Are You From is a great book for all Earthlings looking to find deeper insight into finding their true home. Purchasing this book also is a great opportunity to support the van life community. To pre-order your copy today, head over to neiltheearthling.com and tell them the Kookz sent you.